All right. Week 3 in the NFL is here. Shadow's here with me. Let's do some predictions. Last week I went 14-2, so I'm pretty proud of that. Let's see if I can replicate that success again this week. Starting off with Thursday Night Football. Shadow, who do you have winning, the Dolphins or the Bills? Okay. I'm going to go with the Bills in this one. I cannot trust the Dolphins right now. I know Josh Allen, hurt his nose or something, but sounds like he's going to play. I keep in mind I'm recording this Wednesday morning, so as of right now, I don't know all the status for everyone who is and who isn't playing. I know that Ed Oliver and Matt Milano are going to be out for the Bills in this one. Those are two huge blows, but I still trust the Bills to get the win in this one. They tend to beat the Dolphins no matter what. So give me the Bills here in this one. Moving on to Sunday, we've got first game, Packers versus the Browns. Yeah, no, I'm not. I'm going to leave this one short and sweet. The Packers, they look like one of the best teams in the league. And the Browns, once again, they're the Browns. I have a hard time picking them right now. I'm going to go with the Packers here in this one. But I wouldn't be surprised if the Browns kept it close. I don't think they'll win, but I wouldn't be surprised if the Browns kept it close. Just because, they have a pretty decent defense. Next, we've got the Indianapolis Colts and the Tennessee Titans. Look, the Colts, I picked the upset last week, if you remembered. I picked the Colts to beat the Broncos, and they did. And that was a wild finish there to that game. The Titans, you lost to the better team. Although Cam Ward does look like he could be the guy. Of course, only 2 games through, so nothing is guaranteed. But he had a sensational touchdown pass last week against the Rams to Alec Iamaner. So that's really encouraging to see if you're a Titans fan. And as a result, I'm going to go with the Titans. I don't know what it is, but for some reason, the Titans, they're playing at home here in this one. It's a divisional rival. You never know which way these games can go. So I'm going to go with the Titans here in this game. Do I necessarily believe that they'll win? I don't know. Time will tell. I don't know why. I just feel like this is the week where Daniel Jones is going to revert back to Daniel Jones. And no disrespect to him, he has been playing some really incredible football these first 2 weeks. But I am going to have to go with the Titans here in this one. And chances are I'll be wrong, and I'll own that. Next, we've got the Cincinnati Bengals versus the Minnesota Vikings. Woof. Let's start with the Vikings. First and foremost, that game on Sunday night was not good. One of the 2 games I got wrong. Vikings, they disappointed me. And as a result, J.J. McCarthy, whether you want to believe it's due to an injury or not, Carson Wentz is going to be getting the start. Vikings claim that J.J. has an ankle injury. Although I do believe that he does have an ankle injury, I do think the Vikings could have put J.J. in a better position to succeed. But I digress. I'm going to go with the Bengals here in this one. Of course, no Joe Burrow for the next few months. But, Jake Browning, he's come in the game before, and he's looked serviceable. I mean, we saw this, a couple seasons ago? Back when Burrow had a torn wrist ligament or something, and he ended up doing well. I think he went 4-3, something like that, as the Bengals barely missed the playoffs. But yeah, I'll go with the Bengals here in this one. Moving on, we've got the Pittsburgh Steelers versus the New England Patriots. Look, you guys know I'm a Steeler fan. However, I'm also a realistic Steeler fan. And the Steelers did not look good at all on Sunday. Caleb Johnson, I don't know what he's doing. Apparently he's not going to be taking kickoffs anymore, which, good. I'm going to go with the Patriots here in this one. And I'm going to go with the Patriots here for a couple reasons. One, I think they have a good chance to really torch this defense because the Steelers' defense through 2 weeks has not looked good whatsoever. Two, the Steelers, for whatever reason, they do not play well against the Patriots, especially in Foxborough, which is where this game is being played. I hope I'm wrong. I really, really, really hope I'm wrong here, but I am going to go with the Patriots here in this game. I hope I'm wrong. I'm just going to leave it at that. But right now, yeah, the Steelers, they don't look good. I can't right now. Moving on, we've got the Rams versus the Eagles. A game that should be pretty good, in all honesty. I think the Rams are definitely a better team than last year, and that says a lot. I'm going to go with the Eagles here in this one. It's hard for me to pick against them. Simple as that. You know, reigning Super Bowl champions, 2-0. They've knocked off two pretty decent teams at the very least. I know the Chiefs, they don't look the best right now, but the Cowboys, they've looked pretty good these first couple games, despite losing one of them. And the Rams, I'm not convinced they've played anyone yet. So I am going to go with the Eagles. I think they're just more battle-tested. I trust their running game a bit more than LA. Not to say LA has a bad running game, but I very well could see this game going into overtime. This is going to be a good game, I feel. Next on the docket, we've got the New York Jets versus the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I'm going to go with the Bucs in this one. Baker Mayfield on Monday night, he looked like that guy, man. I don't think he'll ever win a Super Bowl, but because I don't think he has enough talent to get them there. However, what I do think is Baker Mayfield is a very good quarterback. He's not a great quarterback, though. But very good is better than whatever the Jets are going to be trotting out there on Sunday, whether it's Tyrod Taylor or Justin Fields, who is currently in concussion protocol. So we'll see. I am going to go with the Bucs here in this one, as I've alluded to. We'll see if it ends up paying out. Moving on, we've got the Vegas Raiders versus the Washington Commanders. Woof. Ooh, that was a bad game for both sides. The Raiders looked like complete garbage against the Chargers. Chargers defense was suffocating them all night long. Geno Smith looked terrible. Looked like he didn't even want to be there. As for the Commanders, that was a rough game on a short week against the Packers. Of course, Jaden Daniels, a bit beaten up. I think it's his ankle. I think that's what the injury is. I'm not completely sure, but I know he is questionable right now. So I'll tell you what. I'm going to go with the Raiders here. But I'm only going to stick with the Raiders if Jaden Daniels does not play. If Jaden Daniels plays, I'm taking the Commanders. But if not, I will take the Raiders. And honestly, I think even if Jaden Daniels plays, I think the Raiders can keep this one close. I think this is going to be a very interesting game. Might be a bit low scoring, but I don't know. I just have a feeling. Next, we've got the Atlanta Falcons versus the Carolina Panthers. Man, the Falcons' defense looked really good. Falcons' defense looked really good on Sunday night. Boy, oh boy, that must be really encouraging as a Falcons fan. You actually had a pass rush. When was the last time you could say that? 2016? I mean, the Falcons, they haven't had a good pass rush in forever. And then, of course, the Panthers, things looked bad there. It looked like a repeat of last year with the first couple weeks. Bryce Young not looking good at all. But then in the second half, fourth quarter specifically, Bryce Young started to get things going, and the Panthers nearly won that game. And I'll let you decide if it was because the Panthers were really good or if Arizona was trying to give the game away. Unfortunately, of course, they fell just short. Now, this game, I went back and forth on this one a lot. I'm going to go with the upset here. I'm going to go with the Panthers. And the reason I'm going to go with the Panthers, It's nothing against the Falcons. It really, really isn't. It's just, I think Bryce Young can carry over that momentum that he had at the end of last week and carry it into this week. And I think the Panthers have a chance to put up points. Plus, on top of that, it's a divisional game. You never know how they're going to turn out. I'm going to go with Bryce Young and the Panthers here. I'm sorry, Falcons. I promise I don't hate you. I know I've picked against you 3 consecutive weeks, but I promise I don't hate you. Next, we've got the Houston Texans versus the Jacksonville Jaguars. The Texans, losing a heartbreaker there at the last second against the Tampa Bay Bucks. And man, this Texans team has problems. The offensive line looks bad. C.J. Stroud looks bad. It's all bad. The defense, on the other hand, could look worse. I mean, the run defense doesn't look that great. But the pass defense looks alright for the most part. I don't know, man. I don't know what this Texans team needs to do to get into shape. I'm going to go with the Jaguars. They lost a heartbreaker last week, and I cannot, in good faith, pick the Texans right now. I can't do it. The Texans, they're such a disaster right now. Their offensive line is a mess. C.J. Stroud looks like a mess. Their running game looks like a mess. Everything about that offense in particular, complete mess. And I cannot pick the Texans. So I'm going to go with the Jaguars to win this one. But I would not be surprised if the Texans pull this one out. Next, I'm going with the Chargers to beat the Broncos. Look, man, the Broncos, they had a chance to win that game. They had all the chances in the world. You know, the dude missed the 60-yard field goal. That was nice, but then you had a leverage penalty, which was leverage. Don't even argue it, Bronco fans. That was leverage. And then, of course, you know, right before you had the missed field goal, you had the interception. The Broncos just gave the game away. That was a winnable game, a game that they probably should have won, but they didn't. It's hard for me to trust teams like that in the future playing in close games. The Chargers, on the other hand, they've been in a close game this year, and they didn't give the game away. And right now, they arguably look like the best team in football. Their defense is absolutely suffocating teams. Justin Herbert looks surgical. Now, if you can get the running game going, like I know this team wants to do, you're going to have a really good season, LA. So I am going to go with the Chargers here in this one. But as I've said all video, divisional games, you never know which way they're going to go. But I do feel pretty confident here in the Chargers. Moving on, we've got the New Orleans Saints versus the Seattle Seahawks. The Saints, I think the best way I can describe the Saints this season is they're playing not to lose. I think that's the best way I can describe them. Spencer Rattler, he doesn't look too bad. Other than that, I can't really say much else positive about the Saints. You don't look as awful as I think everyone was expecting. As for the Seahawks, they got a much-needed win last week against the Steelers. I'll let you decide if it was because the Seahawks were really good or if the Steelers were just so incompetent. I'll let you decide that. But regardless, they got a win. No, I'm not mad at all, if you were wondering. Can you tell? Anyways, I am going to go with the Seahawks in this one. It's being played at home. I think they have a better overall team, better coached, better everything than the Saints right now. So I am going to go with the Seahawks. Next, we've got the Dallas Cowboys taking on the Chicago Bears. Yeah, I'm going to keep this one short and sweet. I'm going with the Cowboys. The Bears, they look like an absolute disaster. Remember this offseason and literally every other offseason prior to this one, how Bear fans were getting hyped? Because, new head coach, this is the year. I didn't buy it. I wasn't buying the hype. I never do. It's the Bears. I'm going to go with the Cowboys here in this one. Of course, they've looked pretty decent these first couple weeks. You got to give them credit. I think people were, completely writing them off after the Micah Parsons deal. I certainly was, and I'll own that. But they haven't looked bad these first couple weeks. Moving on, we've got the Arizona Cardinals versus the San Francisco 49ers. A battle of 2-0 teams in the NFC West. This could be an interesting game. The Niners, they're really beat up right now. The Cardinals, they've stayed relatively healthy. I just don't know if I can trust the Cardinals with literally anything. Because the Cardinals, let's be honest, they barely scraped by against the Saints in Week 1, and they barely survived against the Panthers in Week 2. I don't know if I can pick them. The Niners, yes, they barely scraped by against the Seahawks and the Saints. But the 49ers at least have the excuse that they're hurt. Mac Jones is hurt. Brock Purdy is hurt. Mac Jones is playing. George Kittle is hurt. McCaffrey is probably hurt. Let's be honest here. Brandon Ayuk is still hurt. And there are probably some more people that I'm forgetting about. Jawan Jennings, I know, is hurt. But I'm going to go with the 49ers. I think they just look like a better team right now than the Cardinals. And that says a lot, I think. But I am going to go with the 49ers. Moving on to Sunday Night Football. We've got the Kansas City Chiefs versus the New York Giants. I'm going to go with the Chiefs here in this one. I think they're going to be angry. The Giants, although they looked a lot better last week, and the Chiefs, they haven't looked like themselves this season. It's still only 2 weeks in. I expect the Chiefs to go like 12-5 or something stupid like that, and probably win the AFC West. But I am going to go with the Chiefs here. And I'm going to go with the Chiefs pretty confidently at that. Maybe the Giants could keep it close for like a half, but I do expect the Chiefs to eventually pull away with the win. Mainly because they really don't have a choice right now. Moving on. We've got the Detroit Lions versus the Baltimore Ravens on Monday Night Football. Look, as much as I want to sit here and tell you how the Lions are going to absolutely crease the Ravens on Monday Night Football, I've seen this song and dance too many times before. As a Steeler fan, I watch the Ravens just about every week. I know how they operate. Ravens are going to go out there and they're going to crush the Lions. They're going to crush the Lions. And I know this because, as I said, I've seen the Ravens do this many, many times before. It's not going to lead to them winning a Super Bowl or anything, but in the regular season, and specifically against NFC teams, for whatever reason, the Ravens dominate. So I am going to go with the Ravens here in this one, and I don't think it's going to be particularly close. I hope I'm wrong. I really hope I'm wrong, but we'll see what happens. Those are my predictions for week 2. Don't die.